The pod games you guys are going to be playing, it's not just the weekends. There's going to be a lot of games and a lot of days. Having coached at the pro level, will you take some of what you learned in managing guys' energies, or are you going to coach differently, maybe knowing that you can't roll out to, guys, 30 minutes a night?
No, you know what? That's a great question. We're going to take it a game at a time, obviously, but I think what our focus is just that game, that one game, and then have our preparation and plan in place as far as how do we prepare for the next game. Like, when you really look at it, there's no non-conference games, there's no pairwise, there's no situation where you get to build your schedule or your body of work through non-conference games. So these are ultra important from game to game. So I think energy is going to be a big thing. I talked to a lot of friends of mine that played in the NHL bubbles over the playoffs. And their biggest thing is saying that you got to be fresh, you got to be energized, you got to be able to play each and every game with 100% amount of energy. So what we've put a plan in place already here through the course of the last couple of months on trying to replicate that and try to have a cadence like we are in a bubble. And obviously, it isn't going to be game like what we've done, but hopefully we can take away some of the things that we've done in practice here and over the course of 2 months to prepare for each and every game. But again, to answer your question, I think it's just concentrating on that first game, doing whatever it takes to win that game, and then moving on and doing the best in preparation for the next game.
And, I don't think anyone's going to probably try to roll out the same goalie to play 10 games in 19 or 20 days. So having two guys with the experience that you guys do, just your thoughts on having those two.
Yeah, well, I guess first of all, we're very blessed and fortunate to have the goaltenders that we do here. And if you look at our schedule, I believe we play 4 games in the first 6 nights. And there's a situation where we're going to have to. Obviously, JBD brought it up that, there's guys that are going to get their opportunity and they got to make sure when they're ready, and it's going to be the same in the goaltending position. Last year, we had both goaltenders have a pretty good size of body of work playing Adam in the first half and I think Peter in the second half. And then I think that's a position of strength of ours. And, hopefully we can, use that starting in the bubble in the pot.
Brad, you've seen some guys, freshmen coming here who have accelerated their education and come a year early. Why do you think Jake Sanderson is ready to be a guy that's able to do that?
Well, just probably watching his body of work through the last couple of years of the National Development Program. We've focused on him a few years back, obviously playing youth hockey up in Alberta, and then he would play to the National Development Program the last couple of years. But just kind of seeing what he's done over the last 2 years playing against college teams, junior teams and college teams, and playing at a very high level. So, we've seen that, and then obviously being in our group, for the last 2 or 3 months here on the ice and kind of seeing it on a daily basis, what he brings. And again, we haven't played a game yet, but like I said, he's trending in the right direction of playing a significant role on our team. And what I really love about Jake is his humility, his hardworking, blue-collar approach to the game. And, getting drafted pretty high in the first round obviously comes with a lot of stuff. And he's one young man that doesn't have an ego. He's all about trying to get better each and every single day and trying to maximize his days here at the Ralph.
Matt Kierstead, when you look at his development path, I think he was a guy who was pretty highly touted when you guys committed him, and then he went undrafted, and now he's kind of a top-end player. When you look back on his development path, what do you see? Did guys, did NHL teams just miss him during the draft, or did his injury have something to do with it, or what?
I think you hit it right on the head with both of those. I don't think they missed anything. What we saw when we recruited him, we saw a very intelligent defenseman that went back and got pucks and broke out pucks efficiently, tape to tape. That was a very smart player that knew the next play. His body didn't really develop until he got probably to juniors, past high school. And then unfortunately, like you said, he had that injury that set him back half a year. So, a couple things that led into it. He's a young man, and the word I would say would be patience. He has patience in his day-to-day, knowing that, it took some time for his body to grow and develop, and now you're seeing him flourish and develop into a I would probably say one of the top end D men in the country this year. And again, it's funny because we get all types. We get the drafted players and we get the undrafted players. The Jordan Kawaguchi, Matt Kersteds, Drake Kajulas that come through the program, and that's the beauty of it. Everybody's got a different timeline. But I think it's one of those things that you have to invest in yourself on a daily basis, and Matt does that. And now the other part is the leadership side. He was appointed as an assistant captain by his peers here, and you can really tell, that group of captains, it's tough. I got to be honest with you guys. It's really, really tough to try to have motivation for 3 months of practicing and getting into things that you have to do each and every day. And it doesn't happen unless you have the Matt Kersteds and the Jordan Kawaguchis that can do that. So I think leadership has been a big thing for him too this year, as far as being a guy that pushes the group.
Thanks, Coach. Maybe that what's going to be unsung in all of this is all the people behind the scenes making this happen. Most notably within your staff. I mean, from equipment on up, it's a lot of heavy lifting going on from all the logistics and technicalities of it all. And maybe we don't give them enough credit for what's going to be happening here over the next 3 weeks, Coach.
Yeah, you know what? You hit it right on the head. I think you see the players, you see staff, you see kind of that as a forefront. But the people in and behind the scenes, the Mark Pullmans, the Dan Johanssons, the Patrick Swansons, those type of guys that are in and behind the scenes. Normally when we go on the road, we're planning for 2 games, 2-game weekend. Well, we're going 10 games in 3 weeks. There's a lot of things that go into that. And again, I got to admire too. We're going into a place that has, I think, 5 locker rooms. I think for 8 teams, and there's going to be a lot of heavy lifting going on with that group to make this thing work. And again, our guys are all about it. They know what's ahead of them, and they're embracing this. I think everybody is just excited to get games and try to play some games here. So I think there's an exuberance there that's pushing us through.
What kind of challenges are you going to face? You have a quarantine for 7 days. There's going to be a holiday in there. How do you get everyone down to Omaha and not have anyone get affected by coronavirus? And what kind of challenges will you face?
Yeah, that's another great question. So, I think the NCHC did a very good job of setting a protocol in place, a week to 2 ahead of time before coming down there. One of the things we wanted to do, as a group, I know coaches, myself included, really wanted to play non-conference games before we got down there. But it was almost a mindset through Josh and the league saying, hey, we got to do this thing right. We got to sacrifice the non-conference games and maybe have them in the second half a little bit, but give ourselves a chance to play down there. And I think they did a good job. So part of that too is this week. We've been testing every week on a Tuesday, every week for the last probably couple of months. And now we're testing 3 times a week this week, and so there's a testing protocol in place the week before we go in this week. And the other thing too is there was a message sent by the coaching staff and the captains as far as this is Thanksgiving week, and it's a week where normally you're around your families and friends. And it's a big day on Thursday, and this is a week where our family is going to be the North Dakota hockey family. This is where we're really going to hunker in and do some team building around our group here. And I have a really good Thanksgiving Day meal on Thursday, and have a good chance to make sure that we put our best foot forward in getting into the bubble. So again, there's some sacrifices, and again, we want to make sure there's a huge push for the next month, and then we can maybe take a little bit of a breath for Christmas and then get back in the second half again. So there is a plan in place, and through the NCHC and through our team.
What is the plan for Thanksgiving? What are the guys going to do?
Well, it's going to consist of Thanksgiving Day meal here at the Ralph, and then obviously the 2 big NFL football games. Our guys love watching NFL football. They talk about it a lot, since there's no NHL going on right now. Otherwise, NHL would be the talk of the conversation, and so everybody's going to be dialed in and watching football and spending time together here at the rink. And, we're going to have some good practices in and around, Thanksgiving Day, and then get on the bus on Sunday morning.
Do you know what's on the menu?
Probably the conventional, the traditional turkey and potatoes and corn and all that good stuff. So again, it's one of those things that you fear when you play on that weekend of the tryptophan or whatever you call it, as far as being sluggish for the Friday game. So at least we'll have a couple of days, hopefully, to work it out before we do play our game.
How much is senior leadership going to be important down there in the pod? Not just on the ice, but for the off the ice stuff. I heard JVD saying, guys are going to be bringing board games, trying to find stuff to do away from when you guys do have games. How important is senior leadership Do you think in keeping those guys focused, but then also making sure that they do take some time away to refocus if they need to?
Yeah, for sure. You know what I mean? There's going to be a balance there, and you know, obviously we'll get settled in our hotel, and I think that's what our life will look like, the hotel and the rink back and forth. We do have some games set up, whether it's through the parking lot or in the hotel, and obviously through you know, video meetings and different things to prepare and focus, to learn from the games that we have played, doing some review, and then to prepare on pre-scout for the games that we're playing against. It'll go quick. Like I firmly believe guys are excited. The first week or week and a half to 2 weeks, I think will go really quick. I think what you'll see is probably that last week, that third week, that's when we're really going to have to mentally and physically dig into that, because bodies will start to get tired. There'll be some bumps and bruises. You know, guys will be already in the bubble a couple of weeks here. So I think the mental side will really take effect in that third week. I think the first couple of weeks it'll be relatively smooth, hopefully, because guys are excited and they're healthy.
Brad, good to see you. I was curious now that you actually got to see some teams play, your thoughts of that, and then obviously hearing the news with Mankato and Bemidji. I know your guys are going into the pod, but how do you understand, and the guys I'm sure do, how fragile everything can be for this upcoming season?
Yeah, for sure. You know, I think first of all, very exciting to watch those teams play. You know, we watched, you know, a couple of games this weekend on TV, college hockey games. But knowing that, you know, we're up next, and you know, I think Colorado College kind of stubbed their little bit of a setback there. I think they'll be ready to go at some time in the bubble. But biggest message that we can send to our guys is control what you can control. The things that you do on a daily basis that'll give yourselves and ourselves a chance to start the season and play the maximum number of games. So we're dealing with a virus that it doesn't shy away from anybody, all ages, all different types of people. It hits everybody, and we want to make sure that, you know, we really hunker in and focus on trying to make the right choices to give us a chance to play. And I think our guys have done a pretty good job at that.
Is this I have to imagine for yourself and all your guys, this is the longest they've ever gone without playing a hockey game?
Yeah, for sure. When you really think about it, you know, normally, you know, our guys come in and train in the summer, then they come back in late August again, and then it's only a few weeks before we play our first game against Manitoba. So 4 or 5 weeks, you know, we haven't played since March, and you know, that's a long time. And you know, again, like I said, our guys making a commitment to come back. They probably had other options of signing pro contracts to come back. They're truly excited. And you know what, we were going through a time a couple of months ago where, you know, it was a little iffy if, you know, there was going to be a season and there was going to be a pod, and now there's clarity, there's certainty, and our guys are really excited about it.
Brad, has USA Hockey told you if they end up selecting any of your guys for the World Juniors, when they want to take them yet?
Yeah, so we haven't got notified yet. We're expecting probably a phone call, hopefully with 1 or 2 players. But they told us probably a month ago that it would probably sometime midway through the bubble or shortly there before, where they would need our players. And the fact is, you know, they're going up to Canada, they're going up to Alberta, where there's a 2-week quarantine period before you can play games. So, you know, if you start doing the math and counting backwards, you know, you're probably looking at somewhere around the 10th, 11th of December.
And are you happy that it's not a Canadian guy this year, where you weren't in a situation like Wisconsin or BC or Michigan? Or
well, you know what? Yeah, you know what? That's another good question. That is tough, 51 days. But just to let you know, here at North Dakota, whatever it takes, we let those players go. Like if that was a situation where we had a Canadian player, absolutely would let him go. We always, there's only so many times in your lifetime if you ever get a chance to play for your country, and World Junior is one of them. And we would like to think that if this was JBD's year this year, we would have let him go. And even though that we would miss his services, we have other good players here. That's part of it, right? That's part of, you know, letting them have that experience. And we always say when you give a player up, like hopefully we will 1 or 2 to the U.S. team this year, we're getting a better player back. And again, it's one of those things that it's a tough thing, but we would have been up for that for sure.
Hey, Coach, a couple weeks ago when you were talking about how you were trying to replicate the pod as much as possible. Getting close to it now, how have you worked towards that?
Well, we try to do like a cadence of, you know, when you're playing a game, you know, your heart rates are up, your energy level you're expending it to the fullest. And then the next day, you know, when you're not playing, you're maybe in a practice day or like a workout day where you're not at total exertion at 100%. So what we try to do is replicate practice days like that. You know, like for instance, today was hard, heavy day. It was like a game day. So tomorrow we'll come back and we'll practice tomorrow, but it'll be a little bit lighter in the fact that it won't be to full exertion. And then we'll go back again on Wednesday. And we've done that for the last couple of weeks here, that there's a cadence there. And, you know, nothing really, you know, because in a game, you're going to have some bodies and guys finishing checks, and it gets competitive in our practice, so you really don't have the full effect. But I think our guys have you could call it the muscle memory side of it from a exertion standpoint from day to day.